Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kinneas here for Noob Flights. So they've added gliders in with the 40th anniversary, and I've been through it, and I finally managed to get A's on everything, and I can tell you it's terribly frustrating, like all the other training missions. So just a quick review and some tips and pitfalls, and then I'll try to go through them and get them recorded again. I have previously recorded them and my settings were all off, and I have to re-record them all now. And I think I'm going to skip in the last run through. I read the intro description on everything, and then I had to go back and do a whole lot of editing, and in the end, just a big pain in the butt. So please forgive me. I'm going to skip over reading all the introductory text on all of these two. Okay, so just some tips here on the AEROTOW one. From what I can remember, just relax, make sure you pitch up good enough, and when they wiggle the wings to indicate when to disconnect, it's really slight, really hard to tell. So this one is pretty straightforward. I did mess up a few times. The winch launch training. Now, this one, I'm not going to say it is bugged, but what's going to happen is the instructor will tell you at the first sign of hearing a noise in the tow cable, disconnect and then make on your way. But through multiple playthroughs and failing multiple times, I found that disconnecting before you hear anything actually allows you to pass. So while the instructor is giving the instructions, she's going to say something to the effect of, as soon as you hear a noise, disconnect. Well, instead of waiting for the noise to appear, as soon as she mentions that, disconnect the tow cable. So do it before the audible plays, because every time I thought, well, maybe I'm just old and I'm not disconnecting fast enough. And then I played it over and over, trying to just get it right when I hear the first audible play for a tow noise. Okay, so on this one, just remember, you're going to want to disconnect before you hear any noise. The winch launch training advanced. This one, you're not going to really have too many problems with. You go up and you disconnect, and then you make a turn and you come back and you make a landing. Now, the instructor does not mention that you will need to use your water ballast control and ditch your water ballast, nor does your instructor mention using the speed brake. And in the read through, in the description, it doesn't mention the water ballast or your speed brake either. You might be one of those people who is a Zen pilot and it all comes naturally to you and you understand easily. Well, that's not me. In this lesson, I just don't understand what the point of it is. I understand the slipping and, for crosswinds, but it's using this yarn thing that they want you to pay attention to. And I guess I just didn't really understand the zen of the yarn. But otherwise, crosswind landing, crabbing, that kind of thing. I think that's the key to this one. Thermal identification. Not as easy as you think, using that little, the sound device. But I was never able to really, I wasn't paying attention to my altimeter and see if I was actually getting good climb or not. Anyway, just follow the instructions. You're not going to really have a problem with this one. Not too much. Ridge soaring. Now, this one is going to make you mad if they don't fix it, or something's kind of buggy in my head, maybe. But the toughest thing about this one is going to be the first two things that you have to do. One you have to fly directly at the ridge and then make a right-hand turn when you hear an audible saying, oh, you're getting good wind. Okay. That sounds easy enough. So you head towards the ridge. You'll get a little pop up in the corner because I'm paying attention to what's popping up in the corner. And it says head towards the ridge and go to the point where you make your turn. Okay. And then as you do that, you'll get two quick flashing green bars that say you've achieved that goal. You've entered the ridge line and you've made your turn. And two check marks appear indicating you've successfully done that. All right. Then you have to maintain a high amount of speed to your destination, turn around, and come back at the highest rate of speed you can, and the mission. And that part I think is pretty straightforward. You're not going to have any problem with. The only thing that you might have a problem with is falling asleep, because it's like 5 minutes to one point, then you turn around and 5 minutes to the other, and you kind of get lulled into a little daze with the noise. So be careful of that, not really paying attention. And at the last minute when you're nodding off on your way back, and you slip up and, miss a couple of points because you deviate a little bit too far. So that's what makes this ridge soaring terribly frustrating, because you might do the second half where after you make your turn and head downrange and then turn around and come back, and that might be perfect. And you might not be able to get an A because you didn't head towards the ridge properly and make your turn properly at the right time. So I wish you the best of luck on that. And now what I need to do is save this recording and then come back and add the video parts. But if you don't want to stick around watching me go through all of these now, I forgot on the basic handling up here. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think there were some things about it that were wonky. I'm going to be going through it again. Oh yeah, you dive and do a couple of things. And I think that's the one with the yarn. Yeah. Now that I'm remembering, yes, that is the one with the yarn. The yarn zen. Okay. So yeah, because of a problem I had with videos earlier, I need to stop right here, make sure this is recorded and get this in the can, and before I move on, and I don't have to work with these huge video files, yada, yada, yada. So again, cut it here if you want, or stick around, and I'm going to get back with going through all of these and demonstrate those tips and pitfalls.
Welcome to your AEROTOW training. We have paid for a tug up to 3,000 feet and will be flying a predetermined circuit. When you're ready to release, signal the tow aircraft by moving your rudder left and right a few times. Keep the wings level until the glider gently rises off the ground. Keep about 5 feet off the ground until the tug plane takes off, so we don't lift its tail. Keep low until the tug lifts off the ground. Keep directly behind the tow aircraft at all times, both horizontally and vertically.
If you deviate too far, you will get a box that appears on the screen, an overlay, to try to show you how to get back behind it, or it's a warning indicator. Hopefully I don't get one.
Excellent. You are maintaining a safe position. keep directly behind the tug as it turns.
Ah, there's that box. Probably gonna get dinged for that. There's his wiggle, I think. That's the wiggle. Oh, by the way, if you haven't set up a keybind for your tow release, you're gonna probably want to pause and do that now. No, maybe that wasn't the wiggle. Either way, it's hard to detect the wiggle. There it is. Okay, he's wiggling the wings. So he's get ready for him to make a turn, and you brake off to the right and disconnect the cable. Here's making his turn. See what the instructor says.
We're approaching the designated altitude of 3,000 feet. Upon release, gently turn to the right as the tow aircraft turns left. Release the cable. Excellent. Very well done.
You know what? I hadn't raised the gear. That was another thing I didn't pay attention to up top. So they still gave me an A. So don't do that. Remember to raise the gear. And don't, be so ham-fisted like me. Be a little easier on the controls. They were very generous on that, to be honest. I shouldn't have got an A on that. All right, to the next one.
Today, we're going to practice using a winch to launch the DG-1001 into the air. Compared to a tow plane launch, a winch will get us airborne much faster, but with a lower release altitude. Once we give the go signal, the winch will rapidly accelerate us. Be sure to keep the wings level until the glider lifts off. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times.
Now, this one's very difficult. You got to release the tow cable actually before she finishes talking, and then maintain your speed. This is very, very tricky. And possibly raise the landing gear too.
Rotate. Almost at the top, level off, and when you hear a distinct change of sound from the winch, release the cable.
Release it.
This is how we do a winch launch. It certainly gets the blood pumping and keeps your concentration high. If you keep flying like that, you'll be right up there with the best of them. Very well done.
All right, I've gotten the A, but I don't believe that I did that good. So let's see. No, it was generous.
Welcome to your advanced winch launch training. Keep the wings level, rotate into the climb at the correct moment, and maintain a safe speed and trajectory. A winch launch demands the highest level of awareness and ability to appropriately react as quickly as possible. When you are ready to release, signal the winch operator by moving your rudder left and right a few times. cable brake. Excellent. You handled that perfectly. We are too high to land ahead. Turn back and fly alongside the runway. When safe, turn and line up in preparation to land.
Release to the end. Air brakes again. Speed brake. Let's see how we did that time.
That was a simulated cable brake intended to prepare you for flying solo. If you keep flying like that, you'll be right up there with the best of them. Very well done.
That was really tough to keep safe speed. I don't know that they're going to consider that terribly efficient, but let's see. I did it. They considered that efficient enough. All right, what can I remember about this one?
Today, you'll experience soaring in a glider, what many aviators consider to be the purest form of flight. Unlike powered aircraft, a glider pilot must adjust altitude to control airspeed. To increase airspeed, push the stick forward. Pulling back on the stick will lower airspeed. Maintaining constant airspeed in a glider requires the pilot to frequently and carefully adjust stick input and elevator trim. Let's see how the glider feels at different airspeeds. With gliders, expect a delay of 1 to 2 seconds from control input to change in speed. At 167 kilometers per hour, pull back gently to maintain speed and trim the elevator so that the glider maintains 167 kilometers per hour without pilot input. Let's increase airspeed to 167 kilometers per hour. Gently push the stick forward to pitch the nose down as you observe the airspeed indicator. Now let's reduce our airspeed. Bring the glider to 102 kilometers per hour. To reduce airspeed, gently lift the nose by pulling back on the stick. You need less input compared to pushing the stick forward. Leading off our airspeed will take a few moments. Once you're at 102 kilometers per hour, maintain that airspeed at first by stick input, and then adjust trim so no input is necessary. We will now take a look at how to maneuver the glider in turns. Unlike powered aircraft, gliders require considerable rudder input to begin a turn. A vital indicator for turns is the red yaw string on the center of the canopy. We always want to keep it centered. Then we use just the right amount of rudder and ailerons for coordinated flight. To center a deflected string, apply aileron in the same direction or rudder in opposite direction of the deflected string. Let's see what happens to the yaw string if we try to bank the glider without any rudder input. Keep the rudder centered and slowly move the stick to the left, then to the right while observing the yaw string. It's your turn. Keep the rudder centered and apply first left aileron, then right aileron. Steer the glider to straight and level flight again. Let's see what happens if we use the rudder
I can't
pedals
notice
only.
any difference.
Apply left rudder followed by right rudder without touching the stick. Just like before, watch what happens to the string.
I don't know what's happening to the string.
Establish straight and level flight again. Now that you understand the use of the yaw string, let's perform a circle maneuver. To roll the glider, apply both aileron and rudder inputs simultaneously in the same direction. Hold a bank angle of 45 degrees and keep the yaw string centered with the rudder throughout the turn. The glider will begin turning. To maintain the nose on the horizon, you might need to pull back slightly on the stick. Roll the ailerons and rudder opposite of your turn to a wings level attitude. Let's attempt a left 360, then level the wings and perform a right 360. Try to keep the yaw string centered while turning.
And come on. Ow. Come on. How do you keep that thing centered? I don't get it at all.
Stick and rudder in the direction of the intended turn. For now, let's return to the airport.
I really don't understand.
You've covered the basics, and your skills will improve with practice. You've done a great job.
I really don't get it. I don't see how you can keep the thing centered. That's just some Yoda Zen level stuff. I just don't get. I'll take the A. You know, manage your speed and trim for hands-off flying. Yeah, I guess I could have done a better job with trim, but they gave me full points for this. But honestly, really, I mean, that's Zen Yoda. I don't really get that. I'm not really seeing it. I mean, it's centered for 1 second, maybe. So I look forward to seeing anybody doing a training video where they're like, look, check it out. I'm going to keep this yarn centered the whole time and show us some of that Yoda Jedi stuff, because I don't get it. Anyway, I'll take the A. Next.
sometimes need to reduce altitude without gaining excessive speed. Slipping is a technique to accomplish this. This technique can even allow a pilot to land a sailplane without air brakes, crucial if they break or freeze during flight. To perform a slip, the pilot holds the nose to one side with rudder input while lowering the opposite wing with ailerons. You may use either side for slipping, but it's easier to control if you apply aileron into the crosswind. We have a left side crosswind. We need to lower the left wing with ailerons while yawing the nose to the right with the rudder. I will advise when to start the slip maneuver during your final approach. For now, fly closer to the runway. Commence the slip now. Start with right rudder. Now, apply left aileron to keep the glider on track. Now, in addition to slipping, apply full air brakes. The combination will quickly bring us onto our needed glide path. See how quickly we're approaching the normal glide path? Let's leave the slip now. When established, hold the pitch attitude by gently pulling back on the stick. Good job. See how simple and efficient the slip is? Be aware that the glider will tend to speed up during this maneuver. Use your elevator to maintain approach speed. Return rudder and aileron to center position. Keep the air brakes out as required for approach. Now continue the approach. We still have left crosswind and need to align with the runway. This is done by the same technique but with less control input. Use only enough right rudder input to align the glider's nose with the runway. Apply the necessary amount of left aileron input to keep the sailplane's path aligned with the runway. For track correction, use your aileron only. Keep the nose aligned with the runway with your rudder. Now it's your task to carry out the crosswind landing in this way. Slipping approaches take time to master, but are a great way to nail your landings. You now know the basics. Very precise on the controls. Carry on.
Close enough. So I'll take it. Next.
Glider pilots need to continuously be on the lookout for the next thermal or other source of lift to stay aloft. Thermals are small diameter parcels of rising air. Gliders must fly in tight circles to stay within them. Cumulus clouds, which typically resemble cotton balls, are a good indicator of thermals as they often form above them. Thermals suited for lift often require pilots to search under a few cumulus clouds. The variometer is a vital tool for soaring. This device indicates a sailplane's rate of ascent and descent with audible tones. After familiarization with the variometer's tones, you'll be able to know your climb rate without referencing other instruments. A variometer indicates a climb with an interrupted high-pitch tone and descent with a continuous low-pitch tone. As we approach the cloud, listen closely to the variometer and be ready to turn in when its tone indicates lift. variometer is indicating lift. Turn in and begin circling. Roll into a 45-degree bank and complete at least one circle. Gauging a thermal strength typically requires completing at least one full turn within it.
This area is dead right here, man.
Now we'll work on keeping your circles tight and smooth. Two important rules to follow are: keep your speed low, between 93 and 102 kilometers per hour. Maintain a constant altitude, keeping a continuous 45-degree bank and the nose of the glider slightly above the horizon. Continue circling, maintaining a 45-degree bank angle and an airspeed between 93 and 102 kilometers per hour. Soaring through the heights without an engine is an exhilarating experience of pure aviation freedom. You are proficient enough to practice these skills solo. Go ahead and continue perfecting these maneuvers in a single-seater. Great flying.
They say so. Fly to the marker to enter the second thermal. So I could have got better scores, so pay attention to that. You want to make sure that you hit that. I don't know how we didn't. I didn't see it up there in the corner, but I am tired. Okay, before I start this last training mission, let me state again that the thing that is going to potentially make you the most mad on this training mission is the first two things that you need to do that seem the most easy to do. The first thing you're going to need to do is fly towards the ridge. And then when there's an audible on your device, you're supposed to make a right-hand turn and then speed up and maintain 100 and I think it's I don't know, I want to say like 178 knots and head towards a waypoint and then turn around and maintain the same speed all the way back. Now it's not the second half. That shouldn't be a problem. I mean, you might have a little bit of problem with it, but overall, that's not the big problem. The big problem to get your A score is flying towards the ridge and making your turn. Why that is, I don't know. Watch this. Okay. So let's hop into the cockpit.
This will be your introduction to ridge lift soaring.
So fly towards
We just launched from Reedsville Airfield and are heading toward Jack's Mountain Ridge. At prevailing winds, the ridge will generate good lift. The ridge extends over many miles, but we'll only use a short portion for introduction. Let's fly directly to the ridge
See, it says
and
enter
follow it in a
ridge left.
southwesterly direction.
Enter the ridge lift and
We
fly
have a
to the marker.
tailwind on our route to the ridge,
We're not getting any
so we'll
green
get there
on
quickly.
those. They're grayed, so we're
As
not
soon
getting
as you
any points
recognize
right
ascending
at the
air
moment.
during our approach to the ridge, begin a right turn.
But then they're going to turn green and we'll get check marks. Check
One
mark,
of the
check mark.
cardinal rules of ridge
Okay.
soaring is to avoid the ridge's
So we
lee
turn.
side due to downdrafts that often form
And we
in that
picked up a
region.
lot of speed, and now we
Try
need
to
to get our
maintain
speed
as high
under
a rate
control.
of speed as possible while flying close to terrain, as it affords the most escape options.
So they want you to fly right
Increase the
in this
speed
speed
until the
range
vertical
here.
speed becomes 0, but stay below the yellow arc. Steer the aircraft far enough into the crosswind to avoid drift toward the lee side. We'll turn back in approximately 5 minutes when we're abeam of Belleville. Meanwhile, watch the vertical speed. If it indicates a constant descent, we should try flying closer or farther from the ridge. Watch for other traffic. Currently, we need to give way because the ridge is to our left-hand side. When traffic is approaching, turn right far enough to allow the traffic to pass, then maneuver back to the ridge.
All right, so they want you to keep going as fast as you can without exceeding, going below like 175 maybe, right in here, and it's gonna start. See, now we're out. Got to get it right in there.
This is Highway 322. Let's return to the airport. It's off your left wing. Great flying. You can definitely explore ridge soaring on your own now.
All right, so
We can
that's
also
it.
go up for another round if you aren't comfortable yet on your own.
Now let's
Excellent
see.
work.
Roll the
With
dice.
more training, you'll continue to improve.
Roll the dice and let's see what we get for score here. Yeah, a B. Because, right? Because I did not reach the ridge and enter the ascending air properly. All right, pretty good marks here, not the best. You know, but these aren't enough to carry me over. Look how close.